Hi, YouTube. Okay, I'm going to try this again. I did try to test my camera. I've never gone live on YouTube before. And I did try to test my camera before I went live. And it was sounded fine. But then now I've been talking for about 10 minutes. And I was told there is no sound. So thank you for whoever told me that. I'm going to try this again. And hopefully there's some sound. So I'm going to wait. I was not going to wait for anybody to get on here. I was just going to go ahead and do it. And just, that was it. But I'm going to wait and see if somebody gets on here. Can you please tell me if there's any sound or not? Once there's sound, I will start telling you why I am here. So, oh, I don't know how I can see the chat. Let me see. Oh no, I don't want to. I don't know anything about this, but if you're here, can you please tell me if you can hear me or not? I'm messing with the lighting. No, that light's not going to work. That light's not going to work. It's gotten darker since I started. That makes me look shiny. I don't know. See, this is why I wanted to go live, because if I try to make sure everything is perfect, I will never make a video. But if you can hear me, please tell me you can hear me so I can start sharing my story or telling you why I'm here. Let's see. Okay, that's the time. Okay, well, I did change one setting, so I guess I will go ahead and just start recording. Welcome to my channel. My name is Diana. I am Ladeedi73 on Ravelry. Oh my gosh. Why won't, oh. I was wondering why I couldn't get the blinker to stop. I accidentally hit the hazard. Oh, this is just a hot mess. But I'm going to keep it up if it's up. Can you hear me? The best of all. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Please comment that you can hear me. Okay, so my name is Diana. I am Ladeedi73. Oh, okay, great. Because I started a live once before and nobody could hear me, so great. I'm Ladeedi73 on Instagram and on Ravelry, and also here on YouTube. Welcome to my channel. Usually this is a knitting channel where I talk about what I'm knitting or crocheting or whatever crafty thing I'm doing. I have not put up a knitting podcast in a while. And the reason why is why I am here today. So I started this just very briefly, just a little bit about me. Wait a minute, I'm getting my groceries.
Can I have you go forward for me?
Okay.
Thank you.
She doesn't even ask my name, so how does she know who I am? Okay. I started this channel because I love the knitting community. I love the community of knitters, and I wanted to join the conversation. I had a great time. I started this channel probably about 2012, so 13 years ago, and I did it for a couple of years. Me and my daughters would put up knitting videos, knitting podcast videos, and then I went to audio. I can't remember if I started audio first or if I did video, and then my life changed. At that time I was a stay-at-home mom. And I'm a mom of 7, and I still had 4 children at home. So I was a stay-at-home mom of 4 children, and my life has changed a lot since then. I started to try to podcast a couple of years ago, did 1 or 2, and then I just fell off of it. No reason. And then again, last year I did 1 or 2. And I think the main reason why I don't make more videos is because I'm so self-conscious, and I want to make sure the lighting is right and everything else, and I just never get around to it. But I love knitting videos, and not only knitting, I love vlogs. This is not about knitting, so if you're a knitter, this is not going to be about knitting. This is going to be about my health. I was recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, and I wanted to share my story because well, it's MS. I'm sure it'll be in the title, because I enjoy watching other people share their real life stories and their real life testimonies. Yes, this is random. So this is my story of my diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. Last year in March, I got a shingles vaccine at my doctor. It was on a Thursday afternoon. I was 50, well, yeah, I was 50 years old. I'm now 51, almost 52. I'm a Leo, so my birthday's in August. And I'm usually not one that really goes to the doctor a lot. As an adult, I really did not go to the doctor except for the OBGYN. And, you know, once I did that yearly, I really was not a doctor person. If I got sick, I would treat myself at home. I would seek the Lord's help through prayer, or I would natural remedies or over-the-counter remedies. I've just really not been a big always go to the doctor person, and I've always been relatively healthy. But as I got older, once I turned 50, I started wanting to take better control of my health. I started having problems with my blood pressure, and I think one of those reasons is because of my weight. I weigh more than I ever did in my entire life. Side note, one of my babies was 10 pounds 3 ounces when he was born, and I'm heavier than I was when I delivered that baby. So hopefully you will see a weight loss journey on this channel too. But anyway, so go back. I started seeing a doctor for my high blood pressure, and I really felt comfortable with this doctor. I had a hit or miss with another doctor. Well, I told this before I stopped the video. I started seeing doctor, I would say probably about 47 years old. Yeah, probably about 47 years old, because I was seeing this doctor for a few years just for a physical. And I liked this doctor because he was really hands off. He would just do blood work, you know, kind of knock my knees, look at my ears and eyes and all of that. And then he would say, okay, you're fine, I'll see you next year. And he'd talk to me about my weight. So, you know, and I like that hands-off approach, coming from not going to the doctor at all, except for the OBGYN or the GYN once a year. I really like that approach of hands-off. So when my blood pressure, I started having issues with my blood pressure, and the only reason why I knew it is when I went to the doctor once a year. You know, my blood pressure was high. He said, okay, it's 2 years. Your blood pressure is still high. I told you need to lose weight. So he always sit down and have a nice little 10-minute talk with me about how I needed to lose weight. And I'd go off to the next year. So he prescribed blood pressure medication for me. And I think because he was so hands off and didn't really know me, I felt like he just threw a medication at me. I took it for about a week, and this was January of 2023. I took it for about a week. Yeah. And I went to a family dinner one Saturday, about the 6th day after I took it, and I passed out in the public restaurant. Ended up, my blood pressure had dropped. Hi, Diana.
Yes.
In the trunk.
All right. Do you have any coupons?
No, not today. I forgot them. Thank you. And so I passed out. by the time the rescue squad got there, my blood pressure was like 80 over 60 or something like that. And they got me stabilized at the house in the emergency room and everything else. Thank you. And so that was great. So I'm sorry. So after that, I fired the doctor. He was off for a week, and I fired the doctor. I just didn't feel like he really took the care that he needed to take with me. And that was partially my fault and partially his, because I allowed it. So I did some research, and I got a great doctor here in my area that I really, really liked. He has a good reputation, and I really felt comfortable, different things. The medication that the doctor gave me, actually, I will tell you, I think I remember the name of it. It was atenolol, if anybody, and it was atenolol and chlorthalidone. That first doctor that gave me. And when I went to this new doctor, he said, really, those medications are atenolol is the last one that you want to use for African Americans. It usually does not work well for them. And I said, okay. So anyway, we tried a couple of medications. I'm on blood pressure medication now, and it's real fine. It's fine. I'm on a light dose. I'm on chlorthalidone. Yeah, chlorthalidine, I think that's what it is. But anyway, it's working well for me. I had tried how I had a lot of swelling in my feet and things like that. Okay, so I felt really comfortable with this doctor. He got me on the right path for my blood pressure. And so he was like, you're over 50 years old. You really need to consider getting the shingles vaccine. I'm usually not a vaccine person. I've gotten the flu shot because probably the last 7 years, because I work in healthcare and it is required. So I did get the flu. do get the flu shot, and I did get, I think, the first COVID shot, and then 1 or 2 of the boosters. I can't remember, but that was because it was required for work. But I'm usually not a vaccine person. So, but I trusted this doctor, and I felt kind of, I don't know, but I said, okay, it's a 3-part shot. So he gave me the shot on Thursday. By Tuesday, I was sitting in my bed knitting. I was sitting on my bed. So I'm sitting up like I am now with my feet out like that, just sitting. And it felt like somebody came up and just wrapped a rubber band around my toes. Like wrapped it, because it felt like a rubber band was squeezing my toes. And I thought, that's strange. Well, I wonder if I've been sitting and knitting too long. And my foot fell asleep or something like that. And so by the time I woke up the next morning, I had no feeling from my waist all the way down to my feet. It was just totally numb. And then as a week, and I thought, I don't know what this is. And then I think another day went by, and I started having like a strange sensations on the left side. Like when I was in the shower and I was washing my leg, it kind of felt like, the only thing I could say is fingernails on the chalkboard, or kind of like live wire. It felt like my nerves were right there on top of my skin, and I was actually soaping and washing my nerves. It didn't hurt, but it was a really strange feeling. The doctor got me in right away, and I had already done research, and by research I mean Google, and I thought, oh, this must be, I think it's called Guillain-Barré. I think, is that how you pronounce it? Or Guillain-Barré, either Guillain-Barré or Guillain-Barré, something like that. And it had a lot of the same symptoms as what I was feeling, and it could be a side effect of that shingles vaccine. I got the shingles vaccine that they always advertise on TV. Shingrix, I think that's what it is. And so I told the doctor everything I was feeling, and he was like, I really don't think that it's from the vaccine. And I just swore up and down, yes, 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 this is that vaccine. I knew I shouldn't take vaccines. I'm sorry. Um, my windows are kind of fogging up, but that is because I don't want to turn on the heat and have it too loud while I'm talking. So I'm not gonna. This story is I'm gonna try to make a long story short, but I do want to share how I came to this diagnosis. So he said, I'm gonna send you to a neurologist, and he sent me to a very how do you say it? Not prominent, but this neurologist knows his stuff, basically. He's a great neurologist in our area. And he listened to me. Oh, and then my primary care physician also ordered, I think, an MRI of my spine. MRI of my spine. So I went to the neurologist. He listened to everything I said. I told him I thought it was that darn Shingrix vaccine, and it was Guillain-Barré, and he was like, well, I don't think so. He said, but we'll see. So he ordered blood tests, and he ordered also an MRI of my brain, and there were 3. Cervical. I think, okay, so cervical, my brain and my neck to add on to the one of the spine. And so I went to have the MRIs. I had never had an MRI before. I found it very uncomfortable. It wasn't the whole MRI experience to me. And I thought that it was going to be something scary and everything else. And I even asked the doctor, they said you can ask the doctor to give you something to calm your nerves. And I think he gave me a pill, or prescribed a pill, excuse me, that I took 30 minutes before I went in. And I was fine. It wasn't the close quarters, like they say. It wasn't the knocking that, like they say. I know one thing that nobody ever told me about the MRI is that they put a cage over you. So I didn't really like the cage over me, but it was fine. It's just that it took about 2.5 hours, and I was very uncomfortable, and my back was hurting. So it was just uncomfortable. That part I didn't like. And then I had to keep getting up and going to the bathroom like a few times. They did it with and without contrast. And she was like, and the lady said at the end, she said, I think you're going to have a few more of these. You may have MRIs again. She said, next time, break them up. Don't do all 3 of them at one time. And I'm a person that hates to take off of work. I hate calling off. And so I just wanted to go ahead and get it done. I think this was I able to, yeah. And was it a Friday or Saturday? I can't remember, but I said, okay, thank you. And so the doctor got my MRI, and he said, I see some bright spots. Did he call them bright spots? Bright spots that have recently turned dark on my brain, and some spots on my spine. He said, so, but it's not conclusive. He said possible demyelinating disorder. That's how they pronounce. That was the diagnosis. A possible demyelinating disorder, but he wanted me to have a lumbar spine. What do you call it? A lumbar puncture. A spinal tap. He wanted me to have a spinal tap. And when he told me that, I thought, he said it could possibly be MS. He was and he said, but I would like to really have the spinal tap to make sure, because you do have some spots on your brain, but they're not bright anymore. They're darkened up. So And then by this time, this was June. So when I first started getting the sensations, it was March. Between getting an appointment with the neurologist and then making an appointment for, it was June. Actually, it was May. And he said, it could be possibly be MS. He said, but I really want to get the spinal tap. And a tear started coming down my eye. And he was like, oh, he patted my hand. He said, don't worry, don't worry. Oh, that's what it was. That's one thing I wanted to say. One of the reasons why he wasn't sure is because people who are diagnosed with MS, the majority of them are usually diagnosed between the ages of 18 and 40. And with me being 50, he was like, you're kind of older for an onset of MS, but it's not impossible. So, and so I kind of had a tear coming down my eye. And he patted my hand. He said, no, he said, you don't have to worry. He said, medicine's come a long way. I will be here with you. We can treat it and you'll be fine. But I was really kind of crying. The tear was because I didn't want to do the spinal tap. I had heard horror stories about the spinal tap. So, and I was just overwhelmed, and I just found out I had to have all my wisdom teeth removed and all of that. So I said, okay. So I decided to schedule it later in June. I got my wisdom teeth pulled. I got all 4 of them done at once in May, and I wanted to give myself a break. I was so tired of going back and forth between January, when I passed out from the wrong blood pressure medication, all the way till I was sitting with him in his office in May. I had been to the doctor too many times for that was comfortable for me. So I took a little break and I said, I will get it in June, a couple weeks after I, get my teeth pulled. So I had the spinal tap, and that was not as bad as everybody says. For my experience, it was uncomfortable. But it wasn't that bad. But then, some people say I have a high tolerance for pain. I may not. I did have a few unassisted home births, but that's another story I'll share with you sometimes. Oh, it's getting dark, and so let me hurry up and finish. So after my spinal tap, I do want to say this. I did not speak up for myself. My daughter was there with me, and she's a little quiet and timid. And the PA who did it, she said, you have to lay down flat for 3 hours and then you can go home. So when I get back to the recovery room, of course, I had to go to the bathroom again. I don't know, while all of this was going on, I had brain fog. I had frequent urination. I don't have those symptoms right now. Spoiler alert, not right now. And, but I had to go to the bathroom. And the nurse says, oh, I think you'll be okay. I'm going to just let you go ahead and go. And I think she did not want to put me on the bedpan. And I kind of didn't want her to put me on the bedpan. But in my mind, I knew. She said, I'm not going to give you a bedpan. I think you'll be okay. She said, some doctors want you to lay down 30 minutes, some doctors 3 hours. And this lady, she errs on the side of caution. But you've been laying here about 45 minutes. I think you'll be okay. And I should have just advocated for myself, because I ended up having a horrible, horrible, horrible headache for 3 days. The worst, it's the worst. It was the worst pain I ever experienced in my entire life. And I feel like it's because I got up and went to the bathroom. And I felt like I should have spoke up and just said, I want to continue to lay flat. But that's hindsight. So, but yes, I have watched some videos and blogs from people who said that they had a horrible headache after the spinal tap, and it feels like your head is going to pop off. And I was like, what does that even mean? What, your head is going to pop off? I don't even understand. Yeah, that is exactly what it felt like. You can't even describe it unless you actually experience it. So after the spinal tap, I read it on my chart. I read it on my chart before I went to the doctor that it was MS. So when let's see. I'm trying to think. When my parents went with me for my first visit. Yes. So I read it on the chart that it was MS. And I'm 50 years old, but my parents, they were really concerned. They've been with me all along the way and everything else. They live 2.5 hours north of me. So they drove down 2.5 hours and they went with me for my first visit with the neurologist when he explained, yes, you do have MS. He said I had the relapsing and remitting MS, but he just felt like, he could just give me a medication and it would be see me every 6 months basically, and I'd be okay. That's kind of how I took it. And he said, we do clinical trials here. You could do a clinical trial. And so I had considered doing the clinical trial because I heard how expensive the medication can be. Even though I have decent insurance through my employer, I thought, well, maybe I'll read the big book that he gave me about the clinical trial. So I said, well, I'll go see what they're talking about. I didn't qualify because at my age, I haven't experienced menopause yet. So that disqualified me. They said I'd either have to be on birth control for 3 months or get my tubes tied, and it was not that serious for me. So and plus by that time I had decided against the clinical trial, and I had done a lot of research, and by research I mean YouTube. And I found videos for Dr. Aaron Boster. He had the Center for Multiple Sclerosis in Columbus, Ohio, which is 90 minutes away from me. And I had shared a lot of the videos. I didn't watch a lot because I know that some videos can be, everything you see is not true that you find on the internet. And so I wasn't just like devouring a whole bunch of videos and just taking everybody's ideas and thoughts, but it was something about Dr. Boster that really struck me. So I shared the videos with my parents, and I called and made an appointment, and I saw Dr. Boster for the first time. I want to say maybe September. By that time, I had turned 51. My parents drove again to meet me in Columbus. So I think it was like, it's an hour and a half for me and maybe hour and 45, almost 2 hours for them. And he just really made me feel comfortable. He came up with a good plan. The first appointment was just him getting to know us, explaining everything to us, answering all our questions. He is just excellent. I don't have anything but good things to say about Dr. Boster. He gave me the names of 3 medications that he wanted me to consider and look up to get my opinion on what I thought. And he was going to study my case some more and meet with me in a couple of weeks. And we had a televisit the next meeting, and through the visit, we decided Ocrevus infusions would work best for me. There was another one that I wanted to consider. You get it once a month, and I think, is it a shot or is it only 2 hours? It was something like that. And I thought I wanted to get that one, but I would have to drive 90 minutes because I would have to I said, can I get them here where I am in the Dayton, Ohio area? He said no. So I didn't want to drive 90 minutes every month. Well, 90 minutes one way every month to go get this. So the Ocrevus is a 4-hour infusion, and you get it every 6 months. So I go for my first infusion this Friday, the 21st, and I want to share that with you all. Hopefully, I will be comfortable enough to just blog and get some footage because I can't be live the whole time. And for the loading doses, the first time you go for 4 hours, and then 2 weeks later you go for another 4 hours. So since this is my first time, I go now, and then I'll go again in March, and then after that it'll be every 6 months after that. So it took a lot with prior authorization and all that, and I know all about that because I work in prior authorization. And also I was supposed to go I think the beginning of February, or the I'm sorry, my mind is, or the end of January, but there was a wintry mix, and I'm not good at driving in snow and ice and things like that. So I didn't go. I canceled it and rescheduled it. And my partner was going to go with me too, but I just didn't want to be on the roads. So here I am. It's almost been a year since my diagnosis, or since my symptoms first started. My diagnosis was in June, but my symptoms first started in March. How I am now. Um, oh, and then when I was going through all this, I'm going to back up a little bit. I was making a lot of mistakes at work. And mistakes that I usually don't make at work. And like I said, I had frequent urination. And all of that numbness and tingling and all that, that eventually went away after about 3 weeks to a month. But I still have some of it in my feet, and my one left on my left foot. Sometimes it feels like I have a plastic sock on, or like I'm walking through sand, or something like that. It has different sensations. But not so today, now, almost a year later, before I've had any kind of medications for the MS, and I think I asked Dr. Boster, the way he explained it to me is that infusions now is for the future. Future Diana will, my body will benefit from the infusions now. So I don't think the infusions are actually gonna, I don't think they're really supposed to prevent any attacks. He explained it all to me, and I think I'm nervous because I'm on live. So hopefully I'll relax more and be able to explain more to you all. Those of you who have MS, you could probably fill in the blanks. But those of you who don't, this is for people who have MS, or for people who just care about me and want to hear about my story. So now once I got my diagnosis, and then he asked me, he said, okay, I want you to rate one to five, your most important symptom that you have to the least. And I said, I had brain fog, and I had fatigue, and I couldn't sleep. But the most important to me was the brain fog, because it was affecting my work. It was, it was, and that's another story. It was affecting my work. So he prescribed Provigil for me, and and he said, just take half of one, they're it's pretty strong. It's a medication sometimes that pilots take, I guess, when they have long flights. I took it. I took the half a pill, for 4 or 5 days, and I really didn't notice a difference. I stopped taking it. But I have not had any more. I think all of it was the nervousness and the anxiety of not knowing what was going on with me. Once the diagnosis was given, the frequent urination stopped, the sleeplessness or stopped somewhat. the brain fog stopped, which was the big thing for me. So the only symptoms that I really have now is just the lingering, I call it neuropathy, but the doctors don't. The lingering abnormal sensations in my foot, and my memory. But I've always had a bad memory. I don't know if that's a symptom of MS or not. But I mean, it could be contributed to the brain fog. So, but I always had a bad memory. Not always. I think once I got in my 20s and I started partaking in a lot of um, grass, I say I marked this as not for children. I feel like that really killed a lot of my memory cells. I do, because when I was in high school, I could just read, and I almost had a photographic memory for, words and things like that. So I have started having some pain, pretty severe pain on my right in my right thigh for the past couple weeks, but I have not reached out to the doctor yet because I didn't know if it was MS or OA, which is old age. So my outlook is I am um I'm not depressed. My outlook is positive. Positive. My outlook is positive. I really do. Well, one thing, I really need to lose weight to be more healthy. I've looked into the um, MS diet. I got that, but I haven't really done anything with that. But my outlook is positive. I want to do whatever I can to live as long as I can and to have a good quality of life. And that's one thing that the Dr. Boster said. The Ocrevus will help your quality of life later on down the road. I don't know if he thinks that the relaxing remittent I said relaxing remittance. That's not what it's called. Whatever it is, recurring. I don't know if he thinks it'll get worse further down the line. I don't know. So I'm going Friday. I'm going to take you all with me. My daughter is going to drive me down there. And that's it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But hopefully, because I know I watched a lot of video logs of people sharing their MS story. And it was just an encouragement to me just to see real people. So hopefully this will help somebody. And hopefully I will come back for some knitting content, because this still is a knitting podcast channel, I think. I thought about separating the channels, and I thought, well, I don't do enough knitting podcast right now and this is only my first MS journey video, so I think I'm gonna just keep it all on one channel for right now. But anyway, thank you for watching. I think I got to get this home to upload it with Wi-Fi, and I have one more errand to run, and it's getting dark. So thank you for watching.